Everybody, it's Warren here, hanging out in my studio. And I've got a very special guest today on the Have, Are, and Will podcast. Have Inspired, Are Inspiring, and Will Inspire podcast through my WW Lifestyle channel. I'm super excited to bring some of the coolest people I know anywhere from different lifestyles to all that kind of thing. I want to bring everybody in here. These are people that have inspired the shit out of me big time. And I want to bring these people to everyone out there that's friends of mine or follows me in any way, shape, or form. So that being said, here, without further ado, is an old friend, one of the most badass, cool people I know. We don't see enough of each other. It's like crazy. You see each other lots, but now you're all gallivanting all over the world, super famous and stuff. And anyhow, Miss Renee Robyn. Ta-da.
Hello. As I get a frog, that was really anticlimactic.
That's all right. Like I say, this thing's a free flow podcast. So
yeah,
hang
totally.
out, and shoot the shit. That's what it is.
I hope you don't mind me drinking like green goop.
No, that's okay. I got a green cup for different kinds of green goop, I guess, but my daughter picked that up for me. So
yeah,
you bet. BC company.
cute.
So, how long have we known each other now? It's like 10 years, isn't it? It's at least 10 years.
It has to be. I mean, did I meet you before I started photography or after I started photography? I think after.
It was like right when you were starting, I remember.
Yeah, so I've been shooting now for 12 years.
Yeah.
So it has to be around the 10-year mark then.
Yeah, that's about what I thought.
Yeah.
And that was in Edmonton.
Yeah.
That's where you met you. Yeah, that's right. right. And then you modeled for one of my workshops with Technic.
That was when I was transitioning. Yeah, I was getting out. I was getting out of being in front of the camera so much. Oh, don't mind my cat.
No, it's all good. Everyone likes a kitty, so
yeah,
that's all right.
Too. She's a little bit of a weirdo. She's like, she's claimed sitting on top of the back of my chairs. So, do I have to build like a little cat bed back there for her to be comfortable, or does that make me too much of a cat woman, like cat lady?
Yeah, I don't know. That might cross the line, but no, yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
But yeah, so we met. Yeah, when I was transitioning out of modeling. So
yes, that's right. And yeah, I remember, and I've watched your career explode. It's been pretty freaking cool. It has been. Yeah, you. Absolutely. And like you went from modeling, right, when you started, and you had you had a motorcycle crash back then as well too. When was that? That was.
Yeah. So the motorcycle crash was 10 years ago in August this year.
Yes.
So it was 2010.
Yes.
Yeah. I got hit and run over going to work. So
crazy.
Yeah. That effectively killed modeling for me. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. You know, even though I did continue afterwards a little bit, and every now and then I'll still take like the occasional job.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely now.
Yeah.
It's not really my thing, but yeah, it was like an immediate career change at that point. It was like, oh, well, I can't walk. I obviously can't model in crutches with like all the scars and the metal.
Exactly. Oh, that's crazy.
I've had enough. I'm out. So
yeah,
that was photography. I was supposed to be walking Fashion Week 3 weeks after my accident.
Really?
And I was talking to the nurses and I was like, hey, you know, because I was in ICU for a week. And I was talking to the nurses and I was like, hey, like, so when do you think this is going to heal? Like, just like hoping and holding on, like, you know, maybe I can walk in 3 weeks. Maybe this isn't as bad as I think it is.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, no, probably not. And, you know, I didn't walk for like another 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Because you smashed the shit out of it, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I got run over. So.
Yeah, exactly. Does it bug you at all still?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it has like every day since. Yeah, it's always painful.
Yeah. Always will be. It'll be one of those things, right?
Yeah. Well, just there's so much metal in my body now, so that stuff's never comfortable.
So do you set off all the metal detectors when you travel the world?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, or like when they do the pat down, they're like, what's that? And I'm like, there's screws in my leg. Like, I didn't just like cut open my leg and stick an explosive device in there and then wait 10 years for it to heal. Like, I'm not that.
No,
Come
exactly.
on. Like, you can see the scars.
I'm not that dedicated in to
Right?
blowing this place up.
I'm not that dedicated to anything.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, no doubt.
Mm.
But you do travel a lot. Like when we met, you were just starting to shoot. I know that. And you were starting to you were doing some really cool stuff. Like some of your
Well,
early
thanks.
work is still some of my, not that it's my favorite, but you know what I mean? Like I love some of your early stuff. I'll post some pictures up here too. Later I'll grab them and put them up, and your links as well, so everyone can check out what you're doing. And but yeah, I like some of the stuff. It was the Redheaded Girls.
Oh yeah, the Redheaded Girls. Yeah. So that was a funny shoot. So I had these two girls with long
Hmm.
dreadlocks. They're both redheads,
Yes.
and I thought that they were friends. So I was like, "Hey guys, you want to like come over and like do a shoot?" And like, I have a super quick idea. Like, we had just come from like another shoot, and it was like, my studio's downtown. Like, let's just do this thing. And I was like, "How do you feel about like like no shirts and just like gently hugging and stuff?" And
Yeah.
they were like, "Yeah, sure, like whatever." And then as they're undressing, they look at each other and like, "So it's nice to meet you." And I was like, "Oh my God. Oh my God." You haven't met before? And I was like horrified. I felt so bad. I was like, ah.
That's
I have
awesome.
a lot better protocol now, but yeah, like just being like really excited that like, oh, there's these two redheads and they both have like super long dreads and oh, this is gonna be amazing. I didn't even pause to think that they had no idea, they had never met before, and I was just like, here, get naked and hug. Like, oh.
But they're amazing images.
Well, thank you. I actually I revamped my whole website a couple of years ago, and I
Hmm.
re-edited 250 images of
Holy
like my
shit.
old work, and I
Yes.
re-edited those two. Because the
Really?
first time I made it, I used a background image that I didn't own. I got it off DeviantArt, and it was like
Oh,
Creative
gotcha.
Commons, like you can use
Yeah.
it. But I
Yeah.
was like, man, if I'm gonna like redo my website, like I have a bunch of old images that I really like, and I think they still hold up.
Gotcha.
We should probably figure out like, you
Mm.
know, which ones are good with updated editing skills. And so then I had some background pieces that I'd already shot, and then I re-put them together. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because they're amazing. I mean, those were some of the early images I remember
Yeah.
that stick out in my mind that you created. Like some of the first ones when I went, holy crap. You know what I mean? That's freaking badass.
Well,
And there
thank
was
you.
those, and then there was I mean, some of your like the bondage suspension rope stuff is pretty freaking cool too. And you did a lot of that in
Thank
the early
you.
years, didn't you? And those big
Yeah.
ass shoes with them big friggin' heels and shit, ballet that you could never really walk in. I don't know. Not that I've ever
Oh, some
walked in
girls
them.
do though. Some
They
girls
could,
do. They're
they
freaks of nature.
really, that's
Yeah, those
crazy.
shoes are not meant for mortals like us.
No, holy shit.
But yeah, I still shoot a lot of the bondage and
Yeah,
suspension and like S&M
absolutely.
work and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
it's I love that. I love that work,
yep, yep. Very
it's
cool.
very fun, and it's especially like watching people who do self-tying. So
Yes.
usually you have like a team of rope artists and then someone gets
Hmm.
tied and suspended. But
Yeah.
sometimes you have people who do their own rope work.
Yes. Yes.
And that is like watching ballet. It is like when you get someone who's really good at self-suspension, it's
Oh,
like watching dance. It's mesmerizing. It's so fun.
when you
So
think about it, they're putting the details into their own
yeah.
bondage,
Yeah,
right? Or into their
exactly.
own
Yeah. And
ropes. I
like
mean, they're the ones that are putting all the final details on their own body,
yeah.
which is
Yeah,
pretty
and they're
freaking
they're
cool.
very particular of like where the
Hmm.
pain goes, like how much they can handle, like where
Yeah,
their pinch points are, because it's like between them and the rope, like it's a very much an expression of themselves. Whereas
absolutely.
when otherwise it's a team doing it to someone, and it's like this communication, this constant communication of like, yep, that's comfortable, no, that hurts, like this, that. So it's a lot slower, and
Yeah,
we shoot a
yeah,
lot less. But with a
yeah.
self-tying person, I mean, I just it's like photographing dance. It's just awesome. It's it's
They
very
just do
cool.
their thing. Yeah, that is very cool. Very,
Yeah,
very,
I mean,
very cool.
we still have huge safety teams. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, of
because like
course. Yeah,
like crash mats and everything in case they fall. Nobody has yet. I mean,
yeah.
obviously I don't work with amateurs, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Safety first, though. I mean, ultimately,
Always.
right?
Oh my God,
Yep.
always.
I even think back when I was earlier on in my career, and we were traveling a lot and shooting a lot of destination weddings, a lot of trash addresses. And there's a couple times I think, what the fuck was I doing? Right? It's
Yeah.
like I should never have had that girl in the water with that big dress on.
Yeah.
Not at that scenario. If you're
Yeah.
in a foot of water on the edge of the lake, whatever. A little
Yeah.
bubbling creek, that's fine, but not wakeboarding behind a boat with a big heavy dress. I mean, there has to be, I mean, I just did that surf picture of that girl. That's legit and real,
Mm-hmm.
but her dress and how we did it and everything was super safe. But yeah, there's times you always wonder, whew, it's like, what was I thinking? Yeah,
Oh yeah,
safety
for
first.
sure.
Because you hear
Yeah.
too
And
too many horror stories of stuff gone wrong,
right,
you
exactly. Yeah,
know.
that's part of the reason why I learned to composite, was because like I had all these ideas and I was like, I'm
Yeah,
not risking
yeah,
someone like that in
yeah,
real
yeah,
life. I
yeah.
mean, so since I've like all these many years later, I've since learned like what insurance companies will cover and won't cover. So
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
I did like 4 years of prepping and practice and training to do like this big horse project that I
yeah,
shot
yeah,
about a year and a half ago now. And we had a bunch of equipment like BK3 B3K, sorry, B3K Photo in Toronto sent out a bunch of Broncolor lights for it, like rented them and everything.
yeah.
And uh I had to get insurance on them, right? And I was
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, for sure, because like it's just extra rental insurance, because I'm like, this is 100 grand of Broncolor, like my insurance is not going to cover this much equipment, so we had to like up
Exactly.
it. And so I called the insurance company and I was like, hey guys, like, we're going to this shoot, gotta like, this is the equipment that we needed, that need this much
Yeah.
coverage for like this much equipment. And he's like, oh yeah, for sure, no problem. That's totally fine. And I was like, okay, for sure. And he's like, well, what are you shooting? And I was like, oh yeah, just like some friends and horses. And they were like, hold on a second, horses. And I was like, oh,
Ah,
yeah. Horses. And they're like, oh, when you're working with live animals or sports like that, you need stunting insurance. So, like, photographing wakeboarding qualifies as stunting. Your normal insurance doesn't cover you, and it is super expensive.
I believe it.
It
I
is
believe
super
it.
expensive, even just to rent, just for the weekend of shooting. It's
Hmm.
not cheap at all.
Yeah, I believe
And
it.
but like, yeah, you're not covered otherwise. And I had no idea. So now whenever I see people doing like shoots with like big animals and stuff, and I'm like, in Canada anyways, like your insurance doesn't exist in this scenario. If someone falls off and smashes their head in, or a horse kicks a light or something, or whatever, an animal like falls and hurts themselves, even if the team that you hired, so the people that I was working with, they have their own performance insurance,
Yeah, yeah.
they're completely covered for themselves. But we, as like my team, are not covered if, let's say, a horse just has a bad day, because horses do that. They're prey
Oh,
animals,
yes.
right? Like
Exactly.
it happens, you can have a horse that's bomb proof that suddenly just one day is just like, nope.
Yep, yeah.
And
Let it go.
somebody gets kicked or stepped on or whatever, and you're not covered. It's like, oh my God, this is like, how am I only learning about this? Like at this point, like 10 years into my career, I was like, where, how? And then I talked to other photographers and I'm like, oh my God, like none of us know this.
Jeez, eh?
I'm just like, ah.
Well, it's like even when we go into a mall to shoot,
Yeah,
like we do the stuff, we have to have a totally different insurance package for that.
100%. Yeah,
And that's even when we traveled, because we did a lot of traveling as well, right?
yeah,
And you always had to have it's a different insurance package for hauling all that
every
gear all
single
over the
time.
planet. Yeah,
Yeah, so like I
exactly.
knew about all of those, but like I just never
Never
put
thought of
together,
animals.
I never put together working with animals as
Yeah, I would have
stunting,
never thought
right?
either, actually. I would have thought it
Yeah.
was just, I'm out at the farm, some cool horses, let's throw somebody on one
As
and get a
soon
photo, right?
Exactly, yeah, but as soon as they're on horseback, you're not covered.
Well, shit, you know how many grads we shoot with their
Right?
horses?
Exactly, right? Like that's just it. You're just like, holy
Oh, I never
crap.
thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, that was like this massive learning
Mhm.
experience for me. Just like, oh no.
Shit, yeah, I never thought of that, Renee. That's crazy.
Right?
Huh.
None of us do. We're just like, oh yeah, we have insurance, we're covered, like whatever.
Yeah.
And they were just like, well, what are these guys gonna be doing on their horses? I was like, sword fighting. And he's like, That's stunting.
I'm thinking sword fighting. Yeah, you could class that under stunt.
Yeah, right. Like I but it just, yeah, it just, I never put the pieces together. And so
Yeah,
now I know that, like, I think if you have like a horse behind a fence and your people are in front of the fence and their people, like the animals behind the
yeah.
fence, then then you're fine. But if you're out in a field and like a horse is walking, trotting, cantering, and someone's on horseback, like God forbid rearing or anything like that, like, man, it's,
Shit, yeah, we
ooh,
shoot that with the grads all the time. There's these girls that have grown
right?
up with their horses, and I mean that's
Yeah,
a big part of what our senior sessions are. You know,
exactly.
I
I
probably
had
shot 7 or 8 different girls this year with their horses, right?
Yeah, I
Every
had
year.
no idea. So I mean,
It's
maybe it's
crazy.
just my insurance company that I'm with,
Yeah, I don't know.
but
I'm gonna look into it now,
yeah,
though. Never thought of
yeah,
that.
exactly. The price goes up though. Holy
Oh,
crap.
yeah, any of
But
that
fortunately, you can
specialty.
just get it per weekend, right? So you
Gotcha.
can, if you're just like have a bunch of grads booked in 1 month, you just get it for the month and then,
Then be done with
cancel
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, I mean, that's like probably the more affordable way to go
Hmm.
about it than to be like,
Hmm.
I want an entire year. And they're like,
Yeah,
well,
no
hold on.
shit.
What kind of sports are you like? What kind of things are you doing? Right. And it's just like, and
Yeah.
then you think back on it and you're like, of all the things I've done, of all the shoots I've done, that things could have gone completely sideways where I thought I was covered and I'm not. Like,
Hmm.
holy crap. I've been so lucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
lucky.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. It's the same. It's the same. But again, like I said before, there's so many times I'm like, holy shit. I wouldn't have got coverage because I was
No.
always
Yeah.
let's just do it and beg for how does the old saying? Um, oh shit, beg for
Do it first,
forgiveness.
ask for forgiveness
That
later.
basically, yes,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the exact saying, but yeah, exactly. That's always been the story of my say
Yeah.
yes and figure it out later kind of thing.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, there's been moments.
Right? Yeah, that's just it. There's been moments, we've all had them where you're just like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah,
See,
like I think sometimes it wakes me up at night where I'm just like going to sleep and like ding, something happens from like 7 years ago, and you're just like, oh my God, why did I do that?
yes. Yeah,
Why did I
absolutely.
do that? Oh my
But
God.
that's how we learn, right?
Well, I mean, like, I'm just so lucky that we learned without having to learn those the hard way.
Yes. Yes, very much.
Like, because not everyone has been that lucky, like,
Oh,
I mean, how many shoots have we all done with fire even,
oh
and then there
yes.
was that shootout in Vancouver and that girl, her outfit caught fire and it melted to her legs. And you're just like, oh, terrifying,
We've done those in
know?
Texas with Kaylin.
Yeah,
We've done the fire
exactly.
shoots, right?
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, you think about it, you got those two sticks, people on the sides with the sticks with the freaking flaming rags of lighter fluid, and
Yeah.
they're moving the flame around, and while you've kicked the flash and have a time exposure. It looks freaking cool, but you think about
Yeah.
all that shit flying around Kaylin as she's standing there, whoever you're doing it with. I've done it with a few people actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
that's super stunting. That's
Yeah.
definitely stunting.
And
Technically, to be covered for that, I think you have to have your pyrotechnician's license,
oh,
which
I would
mine is
imagine.
expired. But
Anytime you're lighting all
um,
that shit. I haven't had my pyro license since I was young. I was like 19, I got it. I had
yeah,
my blasting permit and the whole 9 yards.
yeah, yeah.
Like
I
to
used
blow
to have
shit
a
up.
pyro permit, but yeah, it's super expired. I mean, I
Yeah,
also
yeah,
don't shoot with fire anymore. I composite it like 9 out of 10 times if I can,
and you're the
just because
master of
I'm
that. So
sorry.
you're the master of that.
Well, I work at it.
Yes, you do, but you kick ass at it as well. And
Well, I
again, I'm going to
appreciate
throw
that.
some links up for everybody, and as well your Alchemist
Yeah.
library, but we'll
Well,
talk
thank
about
you.
that in a bit. So I definitely want to talk about it with you for sure. So
Yeah.
then you transitioned to photography,
Yeah.
and you've had some pretty cool gigs since, haven't you?
I've had some fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done some really
Yeah.
cool stuff. Like think you flew to Hawaii once, didn't you?
It
Is that
did. Yeah.
Hawaii? Yes, you did. That was quite a
Yeah.
few years ago now.
Yeah. That was probably at least 6 years ago.
Was it six
Something
years
like
ago?
that.
Oh shit, we're getting
Yeah.
old. Oof.
Something like that. I don't know. It's all like one big homogenized
Mm,
mess. 2013 and up, I'm just like, I don't know. Stuff
yeah,
happened.
yeah. But I mean, some of your clients, I mean, who's some of your big clients? I mean, it's pretty cool. You got a pretty impressive resume for sure.
Well, thank you. I mean, who are some of my clients? I mean, I presented for Adobe at Photokina in Germany.
Yeah.
I have done work with Intel,
Hmm.
which was it was a great job. I mean, I've done a bunch of work with SmugMug, with VSonic.
That's right.
Um,
Yes.
I did. I mean, I've done a lot of work in the music industry. So I mean,
Hmm.
I've worked with Phil
Lots of artists.
Anselmo, Nita Strauss.
Yes.
I've had the opportunity to photograph Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Um, Let me think here. There's a bunch. Um, Rogerio Diodato, he's a horror director. So he did Cannibal Holocaust. Do you remember that one?
Very cool.
Yeah, Jaretta as well. She was
Yeah.
one of the actresses in Demons that came out in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The horror industry when I was starting out really embraced me. I did a lot of work in the horror industry for a number of years. I mean, I had the
Yeah.
opportunity to photograph Gunnar Hansen as well.
Yeah.
He was the original
Yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre actor.
Hmm.
So I had the opportunity to work with him before he passed, which was really great. I actually photographed the entire cast minus one woman. She had passed away at that point, but I had the opportunity to photograph and work with the entire cast for one last time, the last time that they were all together.
Very cool.
And then I had the opportunity to photograph Goblin as well. The band they did the soundtrack for Suspiria,
Very
and
cool.
I photographed the last live performance that they ever did, and then their group photos after that. And that was
Yeah. Yeah. I remember.
I look back at those gigs and I'm like, man, I was not ready for those jobs.
But you said
How
yes
did I
and
get
figured it
there?
out. Yeah.
Man,
You say yes and you figure it out.
that's exactly what I did. That was my motto. I was just like, I'll just
Yep.
say yes and I'll do it anyways, and I'll figure
Yep.
out the rest later. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
You
I've had the
bet.
opportunity to work with Bill Moseley a couple times.
Yeah.
Again,
Very
like
cool.
horror industry guy. He was in Rob Zombie,
Hmm.
Devil's Rejects and stuff like that. So he was great. He was awesome.
Very
Cool
cool.
guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've done some pretty cool stuff. And then you travel a lot and you've been in Europe a lot too, teaching,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And obviously you have a
yeah.
lot of friends in that there now. So
Yeah, I mean, I love Europe. I mean, I just like being there, It's
yeah.
it's so different from Alberta prairie life. And ever since I found out that Europe was a thing when I was a little kid, I was
Mhm.
just like, "Oh my God, I have to go." I mean, obviously, I'm white, my descendants are European, so
Yes.
I'm a
Yeah.
descendant of
Yeah.
European heritage. So,
Yeah.
it was always just like, oh man, what does Denmark look like? What does Germany look like? What does the UK look like? So I want to go there and I want to see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We loved Italy. I mean, we've been twice. We were supposed to go this year again.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, we would have been in Italy again. And of course,
Yeah. I
freaking
would have been in
COVID.
Scotland right now.
Would
So
you have
yeah.
been?
Yeah.
Shit. I know. I've always wanted actually to go to Great Britain. That's one place I've never been. Paula has, and a lot of my relatives. Again, I'm a direct descendant smack out of the English countryside.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
What
dad
I
went.
think I think the term is white as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Without question,
Yeah.
without question. You ask
Yeah.
the guys in my band, and I was always the white dude because I
Mm.
my rhythm lacked.
Pretty fly for a
I
white
was
guy.
oh yeah, I was a white dude in the band, and they always bugged the shit out of me, for that. But yeah, I was yeah. My dad went. It was pretty cool. It was like a 900-year-old house where our family started,
Oh
and it's
wow,
still
that's
standing
crazy.
there. It's pretty cool.
Weird.
So one day I'd like to get to England. Where's your
Yeah, you
favorite?
got to do it.
Absolutely. Where's your favorite place you traveled?
There's something really awesome about everywhere, and there's something that sucks
Yes,
about everywhere.
I agree.
um, it's like it's so hard to pick. I mean, Hawaii was amazing because the
Yes.
the landscape changes entirely, like the ecosystem completely changes every 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been anywhere like that before
Yeah.
when I was
Yeah.
I was on the Big Island, mind you.
Yeah.
And so like 1 minute you can be in rainforest, and then like half an hour later you're in like desert, and then another half an hour later you were on lava flows. And
Yeah.
that was just like mind-blowing to me. You could be down in the water by Kona,
Yeah.
and it's hot and it's humid, and then you go up the mountain and all of a sudden you're like, you need a jacket because it's cold and it's cloudy and it's rainy and it's wet, and it's like,
Yeah.
half an hour drive. And I was
Yeah.
just like, this is blowing my mind. Um, I love Death Valley in California.
Hmm.
I just love photographing there. I mean, it's so, again, it changes really quickly. It's like, Badwater to Zabriskie Point. They don't look anything the same. And they're still really close to each other. So I love topography that changes really fast, because then it satisfies my little brain.
Yeah.
I mean, I love York in the UK.
Very cool.
The countryside of York is
Yeah.
incredible. I mean, York has the original Roman walls that the Romans put up.
Yeah. How
Like the
cool is that?
city that like goes around Old York is Roman. Like the wall, sorry, that goes up around Old York
Yeah.
is Roman. Like that is so old. That is so old. And like to see how far the Roman Empire went, like that's phenomenal. Like some of the old bridges, like the old structures are still there.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like that's wild to me. That's so foreign. That something can be so
Yeah.
old. And then, like to flip that, I love going to Berlin. I
Yeah.
mean, Berlin is this crazy awesome city. Like I stand out when I go to certain places.
Yeah.
I apologize. The people on the floor above have a grand piano, and every now and then they play. So I'm sorry if you
Oh,
hear
that's
it.
okay.
um, he's amazing though. So,
Yeah.
but you might
No, well,
hear the
that's
like.
all. No, I don't mind good music. So,
Yeah, so anyways, like I love going to Berlin, and Berlin is like, it's super diverse. I mean, currywurst is amazing. uh it's like, it's this great, like, I don't know, have you been to Berlin yet?
never have.
Oh man,
We
okay, so
flew through Frankfurt a few times. That's it. Just airport in
oh
Frankfurt.
man, so Berlin is amazing, because it's so different. So like I
Yeah.
stand out wherever I go. I mean, I used to have like bright blue hair,
Hmm.
and I wear black, and like I know what I look like. And
Yeah.
wherever I go, people stare at me. I went to Berlin, nobody noticed me. Like I was invisible,
You
and I was
fit
like,
right in.
this is amazing. Like I was like Oilers jersey and blue jeans normal there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like nobody batted an eye, and I was just like, oh my god, this is what it's like to be invisible. Like this is amazing. Like nobody stared at me. Like I went to a club, and it's like this prolific it's a prolific sex club. I didn't know when I
Yeah.
went there. My friends are just like, hey, let's go to a bar. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And they're like,
Yeah.
so it's kind of a club, and like you gotta like, wear something cute. And I was like, man, I'm traveling for work. Like, I don't have anything cute. And I just like, I put on like a long tank top and like some shorts and like some knee-high boots.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, seems like it'll work. And like walked right into this bar. I had no idea that this is the type of club that people wait in line for hours to get in, just to get turned away. Like it is like
Crazy.
super like, yeah,
Yeah.
anyways, it's called Berghain if you want to look it up. Anyways,
Yeah.
I did not like, I am obviously not a prude, but I had no idea what I was walking into. And I mean, I'm there in like my long tank top and like shorts and
Yeah.
boots, and I am so overdressed. I am wearing way too much clothing for this club, and nobody touched me. Nobody touched me. It was amazing. Like if I go to a club here wearing jeans or anything, any type of clothing at
Yeah.
all, someone's
Yeah.
grabbing my ass, right? Like
Yeah.
it just, like drunk
The
guys,
pig
especially, they're
mentality.
just gross.
Yeah.
And I was just like on high alert for people to be like grabbing and stuff, because I'm looking around,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is that kind of club. Cool. Like right on. Like the music's great, the
Yeah.
vibe's cool. I just want to people watch, like, because it's
Yeah.
such a different culture. And man, nobody touched me.
Isn't that
And I was
something?
just like, wow, this is awesome. Like I really appreciate this. And then of course,
Huh.
the more I learned about German culture, I realized, I was like,
That's
oh yeah, that's just like
just
how it
what
is.
it
And it's like,
is.
man, I
Yeah.
could just relax and enjoy
Yes.
myself for the first time. It was just like, it was wild.
Yeah.
For the record, I was not there for the sex. I was there for the music. But yeah, it was just like a wild experience. And then like on top of that, like I love Amsterdam. I mean, I spend a lot of
Mhm.
time in the Netherlands. I have a lot of friends there. I'm learning Dutch. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
but I just enjoy the Dutch people so much, and they have like great food, and like
Very
it's
cool.
just a very relaxed, comfortable, like really pleasant culture, and I love that everyone bikes everywhere. I don't know how people bike
Yeah.
in the big cities. And especially what I don't understand is like you go into the red light district and you see people like bombed out on everything.
Yeah.
And I'm mostly sober. I don't really do any of that stuff
Yeah.
anymore. that's for younger me.
Yeah, yeah,
But like I was just like, oh my God, like I'm almost getting myself killed walking through here because there's trams, there's scooters, there's bikes, there's
yeah,
like everything's moving really fast and it's all going all directions. And I was just
yeah.
like, I'm almost gonna die sober. I was like, how do people get high and make it out of here alive?
On
I
their
don't
friggin'
understand.
scooter. Yeah, I know.
Blows my mind, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
But yeah.
we rented a car in Italy, and it was like that. And I remember renting it
Oh yeah.
in Rome. And
I wouldn't drive in Rome. There's
oh, yeah,
no
it
way
was
I would drive in Rome.
friggin' stupid.
Nope.
Absolutely stupid. But we just went into the countryside and we ended up over in Florence. Like we drove through Tuscany.
Right.
But I remember we're in the traffic circle, and we've got our Google Translate, and Italian is different. It's
Yeah.
not like Spanish or French. You can kind of figure, like, Italian is a whole friggin' other language. Paul is trying to navigate, and we get into this traffic circle, and it's not just a square four-way traffic circle. There's like 7 friggin' exits, and
Yeah.
there's buses and trucks and scooters coming between, splitting lanes through in front of you. And Paul is chirping in my ear, and I finally told him, shut the fuck up. Like, sit the fuck up and drive. And we spun around in that traffic circle a few times, and then finally got out into the country. But yeah,
Mhm.
when we had it for like the 2 days, and I just parked the freaking thing at the rental place at the airport, and never
Mhm.
again.
Yeah, I know I wouldn't drive. I wouldn't drive in Rome. There's no way. I mean, I've driven through Europe a
Insane.
few times, but not Rome. There's no way.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I driving uh through Amsterdam for the first time was like a little bit unnerving. I mean, I'd read up on the road laws and, you know, like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
legal to drive over there, but it's still just like there's subtleties to driving in different cultures
Oh
that
yes.
you have to
Oh
learn. I
yes.
mean, the first time I drove on the Autobahn, I was just like, okay, I'm doing a buck 80 and I am not passing anybody.
Yeah, yeah,
I am getting passed. And I
yeah.
am like, you know, like we rented an Audi, made sure like we had something that was going to keep up. And the craziest thing was like shoulder checking, doing 180, knowing that like the vehicle in front of you is doing 180 as well, at least because like you're not getting closer. But then shoulder checking and then shoulder checking and then shoulder checking.
As cars are
And
flying
then
by you like you're standing still.
exactly, yeah.
Same in Italy.
This friggin' Audi, like again, like one of the supercar Audis that was
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
bam, like as if I was standing still. And I was like, I shoulder checked 3 times. I did not see that car coming.
Hmm.
Again, like I did a bunch of research before I went, like, and I was like, okay, what are the big like the tips for driving,
Yeah.
you know, on the Autobahn?
We did the
Uh
same in Italy. It was the exact same. I remember thinking we're following these cars doing like 140, 150. Then all and your shoulder check, and all of a sudden, whoo, and there'd be like 3 cars literally drafting,
yeah.
flying by you like you were freaking standing still. I'm like, holy shit, I think I'm just gonna hang in with this lane of traffic at 140 or whatever, 150, whatever we were
Yep.
going. It's like, oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
insane.
exactly. Yeah, it
Insane.
was like nuts. And then the crazy thing is when at that time the maximum speed in the Netherlands was 90 kilometers an hour. So after you've driven in the Autobahn and then you're driving on German
Yeah.
highways, and then you get back to the Netherlands where it is very speed controlled. I mean, it's a small country. It's very speed controlled. And so all of a sudden you have to slow down to 90 kilometers an hour. You're just like,
I'm gonna reach out and touch the
oh my
ground.
God. You just feel like you're just like inching along, you know, just like, oh man, this is brutal. But yeah, so there's stuff about like everywhere that I've
Yeah,
been that I really enjoy. I mean,
absolutely. I get
Switzerland
it.
has the most amazing shade of green in the grass. Like once you get up into the mountains and stuff.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, my sister and I and a friend, we drove down to Switzerland from Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And once we get into Lucerne, there's like the shade of green in the grass is not the same as the shade of green that we get here. Here we get like kind of a like an emerald green in summer,
Yep.
right? This kind of like dark lush green. But in Switzerland, it's this like neon-ish green. It's this amazing color that just it's so foreign to me, you know, and the shape of the mountains is different and like just
Yeah.
like how like the geology, like how the plates press together, it's a completely different feel than the Alberta Rockies, right? And so
Yeah.
like I was just like, oh my God, this is so good.
And that's where
It's
you
very
shoot a lot of
cool.
your composite images too, did you? You shoot a lot of them out there?
I mean, I shoot a lot of my background images in Europe for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've seen a lot as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very cool. And we should talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we can stop talking about travel. Obviously,
We both love it.
we've been stuck indoors for like almost a year now. You're just like, get me on an airplane.
Yeah, we were supposed to be in goddamn Italy right now.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's what it is. So,
Yeah, totally.
but yeah, like I mean, you are the master of composites. There's no doubt about it.
I try.
You kick
I
ass
don't
at
think
it.
I'm the master, but I try.
Oh, you're up there on the list of the top on the planet. I try here and there, and I just suck at it. Plain and simple. I can't wrap. That's why I tend to shoot more of mine if I can where it's at, as long as I don't get too much shit. But I'm not very good at composing, like with creating a composite that has super dramatic, that is like really realistic. Like that person could legitimately be there. You see lots of people doing composites and you're like, I mean, it looks so bad, right? And not you. No, you just have a way of doing it.
Well, thank you.
That's
I
pretty
look at the
amazing.
artists that I look up to though, and I'm just like, oh man, like anything I can do, they can do better.
But you're chasing them. That's all that matters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
So yeah, your composites. I mean, what like you say, you ended up like with the horse issues, with the insurance issues with the horse shoot. Was it events like that that started you leaning towards composites then, right? That's what
Well,
you're
no, I
saying?
mean, composites started for me. My cat's got the zoomies now. This is like a whole saga today of cat behavior. She's normally so chill this time of day.
Yeah.
No, so the horse stuff was recent. So
Yeah.
compositing started. I mean, I really started pushing into compositing after I got run over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I wanted to be anywhere than where I was stuck in the bed that I was in.
Gotcha.
Right. So, because I was stuck in bed for months,
Yeah.
and it sucked.
So that's what brought it on
So
then. Very cool.
yeah. I mean, because at the time, there weren't a lot of compositors. There were like they existed, right? But it wasn't as prolific as it is now by any stretch of the imagination. Um, there was digital painters, like digital
Mhm.
artists, and there
Yeah.
were photographers. But as far as compositing goes, it was definitely in its infancy. I mean, like Flern didn't exist, Creative Live didn't exist. Like
Yeah.
lots of these websites that we're just so used to having now, like ProEDU, that we're just like, sweet, yeah, all these places to learn, like YouTube even, right? Like it just wasn't what it is now. There
Yeah.
was this old website that I don't even remember the name of it anymore, but it was like a Photoshop tutorial website, but it was mostly for people who were doing digital painting. I mean,
Gotcha.
I think
Yeah.
Calvin Hollywood was around then. And his tutorials were out, but again, they were mostly digital painting, and they were I think mostly in German because he's German, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was just like gleaning what I could off of screenshots of digital painters and being like, how can I put this into photograph? Because I was like, you know, what if I could smash the two together? Like, what
Hmm.
would that look like, right? And so I just absorbed myself. I was 8 hours a day in physio trying to get my toes working again, and then the rest of the time I was just in bed on the computer, like just downloading as much information as I could.
Hmm.
And yeah, all of a sudden, 12 years later, here we are.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done some amazing composites. I remember I tried to do that one when photograph. Remember when you and Paula got dressed up in
Yeah.
latex?
Yeah. Yeah, again, that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, and I'll never forget. We went over to your studio. I'll finish with the composite thing in a second. I got to tell everybody about that. And Paula, we still giggle about that. We were coming over and you said, well, you better be comfortable with yourself or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, Paula, Paula and I have no hangups
Yeah,
either, right? And yeah, and you handed her outfit in a little package about this big
yeah.
of some
Yeah, a little
lubed up
tiny Ziploc bag
latex.
of latex. Yeah.
Yeah, lubed up latex. And it's like, holy shit, you got to put that on. That was when you two put on your latex and we did that badass shoot. And Gina did makeup, right? Gina
Right. Yeah.
Cicero,
Yeah.
that's who it was. Yeah, she did
Yeah.
makeup.
Cicero. Yeah.
Yeah, Cicero.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did your makeup, you girls' makeup, and that was fun. That was super fun. Then
Yeah.
I tried to do the composite because I'm going to pull a Renee Robyn with a Renee Robyn photograph. And we'd been at Alcatraz, and I'd done those photos in Alcatraz, and I ended up trying to put you into that. And like I say, that's amateur as shit compared to yours. You could tell you weren't in there at all with my photo.
Oh, it was
but I was
fine.
just messing around. So, but that was my attempt of one of your composites with your photo.
I do think that most people can get competent with compositing. You know, because there's so many different levels of compositing, right? There's there's adding stuff to a pre-existing scene. Then there is, you know, adding, you know, like replacing the scene with someone or replacing the person in a scene, right? Like compositing is so broad and so vast, and there's so many different styles. You know, like my style of compositing is just one of thousands and thousands of different styles of compositing that are available out there. I mean, compositing can be as simple as there's these like really popular pages on Instagram where, you know, there's like a really wide angle shot really close up, you know, and there's like a reflection in the water and a pair of shoes, and in the reflection there's a person, but in the shoes there's nothing, right? Like that's compositing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like it's definitely attainable for most people, I think.
Yeah. Anything I think is with some work, you know, if you want to, you know, if you really want to learn something, you can 100%. And that's where it comes down.
Art is one of those things, or well, art, creativity, I guess I should be more broad than that. Creativity is one of those things where, you know, we're not, the technology to do the things that we want to do is getting so cheap and so affordable that the limiting factor is you, not how much money can you spend on your equipment.
Your gear. You bet.
Right.
You bet.
Which is great, because I think that ushers in like a creative revolution, like a renaissance almost, of all of a sudden creativity is so attainable for everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at one of these, you think of what you can do with this freaking phone. It's insane.
Yeah, and I love it. I think it's totally awesome, because the cool thing is, like, so I'm making the work that I am because I had access to Photoshop 5 and then Photoshop 7 when I was a teenager. Right? What are these kids that are doing stuff now who have access to motion picture, who have access to 3D, who have access to all this stuff, and they're 10?
Yeah, I know.
Right? Like that's amazing. Like I can't wait to see what that's going to look like in 15, 20 years after, like, you know, people are just like, oh, what's coming up next? I'm like, I'm going to be out of work because these kids that are coming up are going to be amazing. You give them 10 years of industry experience where they cut their teeth and they start getting like good, right?
You bet.
They are going to change everything. And that's awesome. Like, I'm so into that.
The two girls that helped me with this project, one is one of my employees here, and she's Alyssa Woodrow's her name. She's badass. I want to do an interview with her. It doesn't matter right now, but she is the one who built the website, created the podcast, got me hooked up on iTunes, hooked Spotify, like literally built that whole part of my platform. I've got basically put it all together for me. She knows what the shit she's doing. The girl who worked is doing my video stuff, if I can ever get it to her with internet crap. She lives in Lloyd. She's a grade 12 student who won a whole bunch of friggin' awards, you know, all the big awards, you know, through the province,
and that's
all that national awards.
The kid.
They're incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, those are the kids. And that's not even counting the people who are not winning awards right now, who are just dabbling, whatever, and then it becomes a career for them 15 years from now. Right?
Damn right.
That's really, really, really cool to me. I think that's very awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I was super pumped to actually get them on board, these kids, because it's like, oh, and they just kick ass. They're awesome. And they're pumped to do it for me. You know, they're just as stoked. So that's, you know, turned into a pretty badass project for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I love those kinds of stories.
Yeah. We should talk about your new project adventure. I haven't bought it yet. Sorry, Renee. I got to go on and buy it. But I will. I got to buy it yet. I got to go on and buy it.
Well, the spooky one is like disappearing because winter's coming. So
I know. I got to get on there. I will post links to all this, everybody. So it's the alchemistlibrary.com.
Alchemistlibrary.com. Yeah. I don't think there's a V on the front. Yeah.
No. Alchemist. Yeah. Alchemistlibrary.com. I've got it up here. Yeah. And so you started this. It was you and Curtis, right?
Yeah, myself and Curtis Jones. Yeah. I mean, this started mostly out of, I mean, we're just this whole year is lockdown to lockdown to lockdown. And I've always wanted to do a project like this, but everyone, I mean, myself included, we
Yeah.
were traveling for work. We were doing
Yeah.
all this other stuff, man. We had no time to even think, to breathe, to do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so then when the fall hit, and I was just like, well, let's just see what we can do. We launched the thing from concept to live in 2 weeks, which is like really fast.
Yes. Yes.
It's almost a little too quick, but I just like reached out to a bunch of artists and I was like, hey guys, I love your work. Some of them had never done tutorials before. And I was like, what do you say? You know, like let's like take some of our brains and give something back, because normally, like, you know, we sell tutorials for admittedly what
Hmm.
they're worth. You know, like we'll
Hmm.
do our tutorials and they sell for anywhere from $50 to $500 depending
Yep.
on how long the course is, how many hours, and
Yeah,
like
you
what
bet.
kind of artist they are.
You bet.
And I was like, it's COVID right now, nobody has any money to spend, everyone is stuck at home all over the world, like let's give something back
Hmm.
to the creative community. Like let's put together a bundle of tutorials, you know, half an hour to an hour long, and like let's get people inspired, because I mean, like stuff's hard out there right now, and admittedly, like straight up, like $100 is more than a lot of people can spend right now, and I get it. I 100% get it. um so but still, I just like, I wanted to be able to put something out there that people could expand their minds with, right? Like, I mean, also the biggest thing is I love pushing creativity diversification, like diversify your study, diversify
Absolutely.
where your
Absolutely.
creativity is coming from, because that makes you a better artist. And I was like, okay, like let's put together like a bunch of artists, you know, dodge and burn artists, beauty photographers, fantasy, you know, even like, and I was like, well, let's diversify this even more, and let's bring in like a designer to talk about something, right? And so every single bundle has like this wild card tutorial that has nothing to do with photography or Photoshop. And you know, just to get people like watching something that is completely out of their norm, right? Because if I watch tutorials, I want to watch tutorials on digital art, right?
Yes.
But man, I have learned so much from helping my friends do car shoots, like car photography. I don't shoot cars. I don't shoot cars at all. I don't want to shoot cars. But
Yeah.
like it's completely changed my approach to how I do things watching them work.
Yes.
I was on like this like panel podcast once a few years ago with a designer from Europe. Her name is Veritas. And the host had asked her, what do what inspires you when you're making the clothing for your clients? And she does these like amazing like suits of armor with like wings and craziness, like it's so awesome. And she was like, well, I try to think about how my client wants to feel wearing the dress. Do they want to feel powerful? Do they want to feel sexy? Do they want to feel all these things? And I was like, I've never thought about that when it comes to styling subjects in my own shoots. I've never thought about like, how do they want to feel?
How do
I'm
they want to
thinking about
feel?
shape and color
Yes.
and like, you know, their pose, but I'm never thinking about the styling and how the styling makes them feel. And that changed so much for me going forward, and actually like pushed me into being really interested in styling.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I've been doing like a lot of learning on that front of how to make my shoots better with excellent
Mhm.
styling, and it changed everything. You
Very
know, and it's
cool.
not necessarily having access to great costuming, it's like
Hmm.
paying attention to these things. And so I was like, man, let's do this thing, and let's like always have a wild card course in there that's got nothing to do with any of this stuff, and see what it can do for people going forward.
Hmm.
And so that's what we did. It's a super long-winded answer.
No,
um
that's very cool. So then every set, right? You're talking
yeah,
about you're doing the two in a month you mentioned, but you're going to start doing every quarterly. Is that what you're doing? Like every 3 months? Is that what you're
every
thinking?
yeah, so we want to do them seasonally. Yeah.
Okay.
So we did the spooky season, like no, I would like to put that out a little bit earlier than we did, and
Okay.
then now we have winter coming up.
Winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
So that'll be
cool.
fun. And we have 10 artists on board for
Uh-huh.
that one, and they're from all over the world and
Very
all
cool.
these different, yeah, I'm
That's
super excited about
exciting.
it.
Absolutely. You should be
Yeah.
excited. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just on your site right
it's
now. It's pretty
different.
badass for sure.
Thanks.
No, I'll definitely post the links. Yeah, some pretty
Yeah.
cool stuff.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
cool
didn't think
stuff.
people would say yes. Like I instead of like texting people, I was like
Mhm.
messaging people being like, "Hey, can I call you?" And they're friends that like we don't really video call very much, not because we're not friends, but just like we're not those kind of people. Like we see each other in
Yes.
person at a few events every year, and then otherwise we just
Mhm.
kind of text back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, hey man, I gotta call you. And they're just like, you never call me, what's up? Thinking someone died. And I was like, hey, so I have this idea. Uh, yes, no. Like, and I didn't think people would say yes. I had like a wish list.
Hmm.
And I only had one person who had like a really busy schedule somehow. And they couldn't
Just
do
couldn't
it.
do
And
it. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I can't believe people said yes to this. That is
It's
wild.
pretty
Like,
awesome. It's
like I
pretty
really appreciate
awesome.
their trust.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you put it together pretty badass. I
Thanks.
mean, like I say, I'm on it now. I'll post it all. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Funny
I mean
looking.
the feedback that we've been getting from a lot of people
Hmm.
is like, oh my God, each one of these tutorials is worth $100. And I was like, I
Exactly.
know. I know
Yeah.
these
You've been
artists
making them
are
a long time.
amazing. Yeah, they're amazing.
Yes.
They do incredible work. And the fact that everyone was willing to share like some of their brain for
Yeah.
something like this, especially that kind of a price. Like I don't know how long I'll even be doing this for, because like once
Hmm.
COVID goes away and we're back to work again, like all of us, like I don't know how
Yes.
to keep it up, right? I mean, just
Gotcha.
we're going to go back to the same problem before. Everyone's got super busy commercial life jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just kind of like this thing for now that I'm like, yeah, let's do this thing. Let's see what happens. And then if it winds up continuing, great. And if it doesn't, I'm also fine with that.
You had a lot of fun doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it. And it's like, it's
Yep.
giving something
Hmm.
back to the community that's given me so much, right? The photography community and the people who are the
Absolutely.
fans of the work that I've done. And it's just like, here's people that I trust who have amazing brains, and like here's a sampling of it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's really fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's a bringing back. I mean, obviously, all these people inspire you, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
big time. And that's the whole concept of this podcast of mine. It
Yeah.
was to bring, and that's how it all started. And when I first started, I didn't really know. I just knew I had a lot of people like yourself that I
Hmm.
wanted to talk to and friends. And I didn't want it to just be fitness because
Yeah.
everybody thinks fitness now because of my journey. And it's like, no, I've hung out. Some of my great friends are the top, country music artists, and female vocalist artist of the year in Canada years in a row is,
Yeah.
working and getting her on. But of course, you get to that level, it's publicists and shit we got to deal with, right?
That's how it is, man. That's just how
She's
it is. That's
pumped
the
to do
game.
it. That's
Yeah.
what it is, right?
Yeah.
So, and all these people from the fitness industry and from photography, from music, from sports, all the things that I've been inspired with, it have built me who I am. That's why I
Hmm.
wanted them to bring together. That's
Yeah.
why I understand you when you talk about bringing on that designer. That's pretty
Hmm.
cool to bring
Yeah.
that part in. And like you say, you were inspired by her and you look at your future and what you do in the future differently because of her inspiration, right?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Like that little
Yeah.
tiny bit of like that
Yes.
little puzzle piece of information. I was like, ding, there it is. That's the thing that I didn't know that I didn't know that I didn't know I wanted to learn. And
Yeah.
that
Yes.
was the purpose behind all of these things, was just like, yeah, here's a whole bunch of artists. You might be interested in two of them,
Hmm.
but like just
Hmm.
like browse all of them. Like maybe you've never heard of them, right? But they all have these like fascinating little nuggets in their
Yes.
videos that could change everything for you going forward,
Absolutely.
right? And
Absolutely.
that's the interesting part.
Yeah. That's what I did with COVID this year. My
Hmm.
whole goal was every day I woke up because we all know it's fucked. I mean, we all know that our
Yeah.
worlds were when it hit and we're in lockdown and it weeks turned into months and the whole nine yards. Everyone was a mess.
Yeah.
And I wanted to wake up when we finally opened up. I wanted to wake up every morning and be inspired by someone that I met that day, which
Wow.
meant that I had to approach people different, right?
Hmm.
You can't just go about your business and kind of ignore what they're talking about and shit. Not that you ignore all the time, but you know what I mean? Like we get in our
Yeah.
own
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
worlds
Yeah.
and I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this and make myself a better person, I need to listen to people.
Hmm.
And it was one of those things. So everybody from clients to, it doesn't matter where I always take a genuine interest.
Yeah.
And I've been so inspired by people that I could have never imagined would have inspired me,
Yeah.
6, 8 months ago. But now I'm like, yeah, I mean, the little tidbits of information that I've been collecting this through COVID is kind of what's built this and it's built me. And like I say, with your project, I just think that's pretty badass. I'm excited. I gotta go get it. And so, and I guarantee I haven't seen it yet. I'm not going to bullshit anybody. I don't have it yet, but I know that it'll be awesome. I mean,
Well,
you
I
guys put it
appreciate
out,
it.
it's going to kick ass. So
Yeah, well, yeah, it's so much work. It's just the two of us running the back end of everything. So we're just like,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
in it right now. We're
yes.
like, we wrote everything up on the whiteboard last night of like, okay, what all do we have to do? And I was like, oh my God, that's so much to do in 7 days. Like,
Yeah, but it's so worth it. And if it flies, and it is flying. I mean, and it's kind of like this project of mine. If it
Mhm,
doesn't go anywhere, so be it. I'm having a
mhm.
hell of a lot of fun
Yeah,
and just bringing what I believe in. It's kind of the same with you in this project. I think it's pretty freaking cool, and I
thank
think it will
you.
fly. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
for you,
like
Renee.
it's not anything that's gonna make us as rich, that's for sure. I mean, and I
Ah,
know that, right? Like, but that's not the point of this, right? Is
no, not at all.
it's like I'm not doing this to make a ton of money. It's nice to make our expenses back plus a
Of
little bit
course,
more.
of
But I
course.
mean, like the biggest thing that I always told people with this project is that I was like, I don't own your content. Like this is yours. I was like,
Yeah,
you know,
just a
we are
collective.
just like we're just basically leasing it for a year and
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
And then like
Yeah.
after that, you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
want, because I come at this from an artist perspective, right, of how many times have I been screwed over by like big
Mm.
companies licensing my
Yeah.
stuff, and like the percentages are awful and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like we're just dividing everything evenly, like
Perfect.
right across the board, right? Because
Perfect.
you know it's the best way that I can make it fair for everyone. And
Yes. Yes.
um yeah, I don't know, it's we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But I just
everyone's put the work in. I mean, they
yeah,
have. They've
yeah,
got you
I
your
want
content to put in. I mean, they all put the work in. Why shouldn't they? Everybody
exactly, right.
get a
And
cut.
without them, right, this project wouldn't be what
Hmm.
it is, right? So I really
Exactly.
want it to feel as inclusive as it can be.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited. Shit, I'm gonna go
Thanks.
download it. See if I have time to watch it because we're in our crazy time. We're in our pre-Christmas
Oh
shit.
yeah. Well, see,
As a
here's the thing
portrait
though.
photographer now, we're just like, oh my God.
Well, videos are good forever. You download them, they're on your computer
I
forever.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I know. I
The
have to
cool
do
thing,
that.
we had even one guy say yes to this, and he does a bunch of like Stephen King's artwork.
Oh,
And
very
I was
cool.
like, no way. Because I wrote him, I was just like randomly, I was like, hey man, like
Yeah.
I know you're super busy and all this kind of stuff, but like, yeah, do you think like maybe? And he was like, yeah, totally. That sounds amazing. And I was like, oh my God, he said yes.
Sweet.
Oh my God.
That's awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, it's exciting when you get recognized by people like that.
Yeah.
I've done
No.
I've done footballs like you with the two redheaded girls that never met. I've done that with grad escorts where you swear they're a couple.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And it's like they're all like, but they're just been besties since they were kids, and it's like you want them to. It's like, no, we're just friends. It's like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
You're just like, oh my
Okay,
God. Whoops.
okay, we won't go there then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've had that happen too. I did a shoot with this like leather designer, and he brought a girl with him, and I thought they were dating, and I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
just like kick a leg up, and just like put your leg underneath and just like snuggle in a little bit. And then I realized after the shoot that they're not dating, and I actually took her aside and I apologized, and I was like, I am so sorry. I was like, I should have asked and should have been like far more clear. I don't know if any of that was like beyond your comfort level. I was like, I'm sorry if you said yes to anything
yeah,
that you maybe
yeah,
didn't want to. Like, if you want me to delete any images that maybe you're feeling not too comfortable with, please tell me. I was like, that is my bad. I should have checked ahead of time. Um, and she was fine with it, fortunately. Like, she loves the images, but I was just like, step it back. So now I'm like, I have a bunch of
always tell
checks in my brain where I'm just like, ask the
yeah.
questions, man. Just ask the words.
I always say to people, you can always say no to me. And my exact words, you can always tell me to fuck off.
Yeah.
Like if it's like, tell me straight out, like,
Yeah.
no, it's, I can take anything. Like if I'm going to pose you in a way that you're uncomfortable with or whatever, freaking
Yeah.
tell me, I can take it. That's totally fine.
Yeah, and I do the same thing as well, but it's always, not everyone is going to say like speak their mind in the moment, right? Some
Yeah.
people, they
Yeah.
freeze or the whatever, right? So yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
really like hammering into my head, like just ask, man, just ask, hear the words, like yes, we're a couple, no, we're not a couple, we're friends, we're frenemies, we're whatever, right? Like just like give me the boundaries in which to play with. and then we'll play within
Yes.
those boundaries. I don't
Yes.
want to, yeah, like again, there's
Yeah.
situations that could have gone sideways or gone really uncomfortably that didn't, fortunately, but I just don't want to, I don't want to be in those situations.
Years ago, I shot a wedding, and we had all the family and everybody, and I get the bride and groom, and they're all in. And I always do like one half of the family, the other half of the family. And I got them all in there, and the mom and dad and everybody. And I'm like, come on, you guys get in there, show what started this whole thing. And
Oh, they're
someone
divorced.
says, yeah,
Okay.
they've been divorced like 10 years,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't show everybody what started this whole thing.
Yeah.
And they laughed about it, but that's always stuck in the back of my head. So always make sure,
Yeah.
because sometimes you never know, right?
Right. Yeah. And you don't
That's
know
the
the terms of the divorce. Maybe they're just
Nope.
like just trying to be really nice, like for the wedding, but they hate each other, right? Like you don't know
And
what's
that
going on
happens
behind the
lots.
scenes.
That
Yeah.
happens lots. So
Yeah.
I'm very careful now with parents at weddings.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, what we learn about people.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely look back at younger me and I'm just like, God, you stupid jerk. But then it's also what happens when you don't really have, I mean, I tell people like, oh, like what would you do like if you could start over? And I was like, man, I would have gone to some form of schooling knowing that this was going to be my career. Like it's
Yeah,
impossible to know
yeah,
going forward what your career is going to be,
exactly.
right? You're just like
Yeah,
suddenly in a situation, you're like, oh my God, how did I wind up here?
yeah.
But if if I was going to start over, I would have taken some kind of fine art course for sure.
Hmm.
Um, and I also would have tried to find mentors, like actual mentors, instead of just like meeting a bunch of people and just like pulling
Hmm.
little tiny threads out of everywhere that I could, right? I
Yeah,
mean, like a proper mentorship, I think would have I would have avoided a lot of the things that I look back
yeah,
on in my younger self and I'm just like, like even just like basic etiquette stuff. And I knew a lot from modeling, right? Of, how I wanted to be treated. And so I treated my clients
yeah,
the
yeah,
way how I wanted to be treated back when I was modeling, which I think was very fair. And I think it was a
yeah,
good call.
yeah, yeah,
But there's just
yeah.
like little tiny things where you're just like, oh man, like maybe I could have learned that if I had actually set up something with someone, but at the time also there weren't digital artists the way there are now,
Yeah.
and the internet was definitely more in its infancy than it is.
Yeah, it's definitely a
And
different world for that.
it was very different then than it is now. But yeah, I definitely tell people like, yeah, if you're wanting to get into this, like having a mentor is not a bad idea, because
Yeah.
you can just skip a lot of heartache.
Everybody's
Like
showing the actual ropes before you know.
100%, yeah, just like assisting, like
Yes.
I assisted lots of photographers,
Yeah.
but it's not the same as
Hmm.
properly trying to get a mentor.
Yeah.
It's that really can change a lot for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah, it's interesting how the world has changed. The
Totally.
digital thing is just, and now with video, I mean, video has come on to a whole nother world, and
Mhm.
that's where Curtis kind of kicks ass at the video thing. And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
still
no,
learning
he's
that whole goddamn thing.
yeah, well, I mean that's just it, right? So what happened to photography 10 years ago with digital um is now happening with video, because
Exactly.
video has always had like a really high price point to entry to do good work.
Yes.
And
Yes.
now it's getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And so now we're getting a video revolution. I mean, the Canon R5 does amazing video,
Hmm.
right? And I mean, granted, like, it's not going to compare to, some of the really high-end cinema cameras.
Yeah.
We know that, but man, you can do good work with those little cameras, and you're not dropping $12,000 on a lens or $30,000 on a lens.
Oh, no, I
Never
know.
mind like your backs and everything else and
Hmm.
monitors and yeah,
Yeah.
video
Yeah.
is crazy expensive.
You see
But
some of the videos that are shot and films that are shot with, some of the, like you say, the new Canon R5, or even like the Sony's ones, because Sony's obviously popped out with mirrorless pretty freaking quick. And you see
yeah.
some of those videos shot on those early Sony, or even the recent Sony's. Paul's got an A3, and I don't know. I'm not a Sony fan. I'm gonna shut up. I hate that camera. I want to just throw it away. Uh,
Yeah, but she loves it. And I mean, like even video that people can get with their phones now, man, it's wild. It's
You see some
awesome.
of the new videos they've shot with the 11 Pro and the 12 Pro? Like they've
Yeah.
shot commercials. I mean, obviously they're not just running around doing this with it. They've got the proper
Yeah, they've got like
gimbals
100
and
grand in
gears
lighting.
and exactly. And they've got all the proper, mounting and all the,
Hmm.
all your motions. Like they've got all that crap, right?
Yeah.
Slides and the whole yards. It's not, but amazing quality of
Yeah.
images off a
Yeah.
stupid little phone.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's awesome because it democratizes creativity.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think you sell the kids. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
nuts for sure. So what's next for Renee Robyn?
I'm waiting for the world to turn back on, man, like everyone else. That's basically it. Working on the Alchemist Library for as long as that's going to run. And yeah, like that's kind of it right now. I mean,
Yeah,
I signed myself up for another digital arts course. Gonna
sweet,
try that out.
sweet.
But yeah, it's like everyone else right now, we're all just holding our breath
Hmm.
until we can breathe again, right? And I don't mean that in a callous way of people not being able to breathe because of COVID. So nobody, don't jump down my throat over that. But it's a lot of people, their careers are just
Yep.
on hold, and so we're
Yep.
just trying to make it last.
Yes.
Like whatever money that we can have or that we can get coming in is just like stretching that as long as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty much the way it is in this industry. Poof. We're lucky we were able to do some of the Santa photos and stuff, but I mean, they shut our hockey down.
yeah.
We lost all our dance this year. And I hate getting into that, oh, woe is me to the finish line thing. Cause I never expect anyone to give me any kind of sympathy. I never say
Yeah.
anything for sympathy. That's just where it is.
Yeah.
That's fact, and our dance schools next year because
Yeah.
our local Decker Center now is closed until June
Oh,
30th.
wow.
So it's just what it is.
Yeah.
So online I go. That's why I'm
Well,
doing
that's
this.
just it. Yeah, like that's all any of us are doing is we're just
Yeah.
waiting,
Hmm.
It's one day at a time. Take a deep
Yeah.
breath, wake up, do what you can, and don't worry about the rest. I mean, when COVID first hit,
Yeah.
when we were like locked down and like we could not do anything, I was like
Yeah.
I shut my
Yeah.
laptop. I didn't open it for 3 months.
Yeah.
I closed my laptop and I read books. I did nothing else but read for months. I was just like, okay, I can't do anything. And I was like, this opportunity is never coming ever again.
Exactly.
And I was
Exactly.
like, I can't worry about it right now. Like, I'm super stressed about money and like everything else. Cause like no work for 3 months, like that's enough to
Hmm.
sink a lot, so just like cut the expenses down to nothing. I was like, well, I'll just like eat a little bit less, like just to make sure that like what I have is really going to last.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, that's fine. I mean, I still got fatter in COVID because I wasn't doing anything. So like I'm not starving myself, but I was just like, yeah, we'll just like eat a little bit less
Yeah.
food. And I just read, and it was amazing, like just to have 3 months of just books, like what that
Yeah.
did for my brain, of
Yeah.
I'm doing nothing else. Like I'm not really watching TV, like I'm not really gaming. I would just like wake up in the morning, grab a book, and just go cover to cover, go to the next book, cover to cover,
Yeah.
next book, cover to cover. And it just like it was so good for my brain, and I just ignored the world as best I could, knowing
Perfect.
that I was just like, I don't
Perfect.
know how I'm gonna pay my bills in August, but here we go. Just like
Yeah.
put that, just compartmentalized it. I was like, in a jar, I'll deal with you later when I can actually
Yeah.
do something about it. But when everything was super locked down, I was like, there is actually nothing that I can do, so I'm not
Yeah.
doing
And people
anything.
were losing their marbles so much. And that's why we did our Tales from the Tub. We'd always jump in our tub, Paul and I,
Yeah,
and we talked to people and it always had to be positive. And it's like, who's making cinnamon buns? Holy shit. There was a lot of baking going on. Time
yeah,
people got to spend with their kids.
yeah,
People were bitching about the kids being home and this. And it's like, fuck, you got a chance,
yeah.
for a few months to do something that, like you say, probably will, hopefully never will,
Mhm.
ever happen again. Spend that time doing things that normally you would put off and say you don't have time for, because, like you say, there's no choice. We didn't have a
Yeah,
choice. So
yeah,
why not use that time just to, I played my guitar a lot. It was
yeah,
nice to sit down and play and sing. And just because I knew that, the photo thing was on hold, that's the
yeah.
reality.
Yeah, and I
just
mean, and
enjoy.
straight up, like what we're talking about is coming from a place of privilege, right? Like, you
Hmm.
know, I had room on my credit card, you know, to do 3 months of nothing. You
Yes.
know, also because I couldn't do anything, but that kept my house, right?
Yes.
That kept
Yes.
my car. You know, like it.
Yeah.
You know, so being able to be like, oh yeah, we just did nothing. Like that is, we're so fortunate to be
Hmm.
able to be one of those people. And I have a lot of friends who did lose everything. They lost their homes,
Yes.
you know, and
Yeah.
so much else. And so I really try to not be too flippant with it, of just like, you know, oh, just like
Mhm.
relax, it'll be fine. Because for a lot of people it wasn't fine, you know.
No, and still
A
isn't
lot of
for a lot of
people
people.
are, you know, going to the food bank now that have never gone to
You
the food
bet.
bank in their entire
You bet.
lives, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and you know what, if this goes on for another 2 years, like another year, I'm probably going to be looking for a different type of work, right?
Yeah.
Like let's be
Yeah.
perfectly honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then what's
Yeah.
that going to look like, right?
Yeah. And
So
I'm the
like,
same. And without getting political, I mean, it's like if they were to shut us down now, I mean, so many people pushed for full shutdowns right now, right?
yeah,
And I'm like, I'm just still getting up. I still have one knee on the ground from the first shutdown.
yeah,
What happens if you shut me down again?
yeah,
That's like
yeah,
a
it's
baseball bat to the
hard,
back of my
man.
head.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, hard.
um, so to me, it's like I can't really afford, and we really didn't get any help from the government. You
Yeah,
know, we fell through all those cracks. That's just what it was. So no, we need to work. I
yeah,
understand it
exactly.
though. I see that. I freaking know how serious this is. I
Yeah,
mean, Tegan, obviously, our oldest daughter, she's a doctor. I
yeah,
mean, we hear stories. We know exactly what's going on.
yeah.
But God damn it, I watched Grace, you know,
Hmm.
Grace, go through the first shutdown and mentally fell apart.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We watched the kids just, I mean, oh, incredible pain and suffering for the kids.
Hmm.
So yeah, to have to do it again, I'm kind of pumped that we're not shut down right now, at least not a full shutdown. Everybody's just
Yeah,
got to put their goddamn mask on and let's just get this thing done, follow the rules, and
yeah,
be thankful we are able to do a little bit of work right now.
yeah,
Because yeah, a full shutdown right now for me would suck.
yeah,
As it
yeah.
would
It
for
would
a
be
lot of
bad.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of us like that are just holding on, and
Yeah.
um, you know, that little bit that we can do right now is like just enough to keep the
Yeah.
wolves at bay, just
Yeah.
enough, right? So
Yeah.
but it's tricky, man. It's super tricky and super
Oh yeah.
complicated, you know. And like I fully acknowledge that, like if there was easy answers, there would just be answers. So you're just like,
Exactly.
what do you do, you
It's
know?
what it
But
is. We all got to hang out and
yeah,
just keep fighting,
I mean,
you know?
more than anything, like I count myself lucky that, you know, I had some friends early on, they're just like, oh, this is our generation's world war, and I was like, this is nothing like war. This
Don't
is
even go there.
nothing like war. You get to go home and sit on your couch and, you know, be depressed and worried
Eat
about money, but you
Doritos
get to,
and watch Netflix, for Christ's sakes. That's not
right.
war. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. So like I was like, I get that this is hard, and this is especially hard on the middle class and the most
Hmm.
vulnerable, the most poor people
Yeah.
in our societies, right? Like that's the stuff that's like really, really, really scary.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a huge money shift, it's a huge financial shift of,
Yes.
you know, where money was to where
Yes.
it
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
now. But it's, it sucks. It could be so much worse though. But
Yes.
you know, like I mean, it just even reading like what was happening in India with the virus and how like,
It's insane there.
oh
We
my
have clients
God.
that are from India and they say, yeah, they're the top of the planet. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I
I
think
just
we're
wanted to,
good. I mean, like
I just
I
wanted to
can
catch up and talk a bit
obviously
about your,
ramble. I can ramble at length about anything. I'm
so
not
can
very
I.
good at shutting up.
We're both pretty good at that. That's
Yeah,
the reality.
yeah,
I just wanted it to be free flow. To me, that's like let's just talk about shit,
yeah,
right? And that's I see those formal podcasts, and some of my favorite ones I watch are the ones that aren't as formal. Like I
yeah,
love Joe Rogan, and
mhm,
people like that where he's sitting shooting the shit and they're telling stories, and people get to really see what's involved with these people,
yeah,
which is really cool, right? So
yeah,
that's important to me anyway. We need to do another shoot.
Yeah. Let me get
Oh,
back into better shape. I fell down the stairs recently and ruptured my L5, so I'm not working out right now. So everything's getting like super soft. I'm starting to turn into like a chickadee where I got like a soft round belly and like skinny little arms and legs.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Kind of embarrassing.
Absolutely. I'll wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we should. No, I've been busting my ass. My whole life changed a year ago. That's how
Yeah,
it all
which is
changed, was
awesome.
getting that pre-diabetic diagnosis. And I was like, you know what? God, I've been
Yeah.
saying this for
Fuck
years. I
that.
got to get my shit together. And it's like, now's the time. And I
Yeah.
made that conscious decision and never looked back. It's just part of
Yeah.
my
So your
life
blood
now.
sugars and everything are good now?
100%.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
off. I am not on any blood pressure meds. I was on pretty high doses of Ramipril for my blood pressure.
Right.
I was on like everything. Yeah, I was not a vision of health. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way. Huffing and puffing, trying to put on your shoes kind of thing.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. Yeah.
No, so that's when I got that diagnosis, and then I knocked sugar out of my diet, and then in turn that was alcohol. And I didn't drink a lot anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I was never a big drinker, but I enjoyed a few drinks a week.
Yeah.
Have a gin or two or at the neighbors or whatever. And now I haven't touched a drop probably in 6 months.
Yeah.
And the last time I tried it, just gross. I'm just kind of like, ugh, really? It doesn't
Yeah.
even appeal to me at all anymore. I've
Yeah.
eliminated that right out of my life. And now, yeah, my blood pressure is normal. Best blood pressure I've had probably since high school.
Yeah,
So
that's
blood
awesome.
pressure's good. Sugar levels are fine.
Mm-hmm.
My resting heart rate, I have to go to a cardiologist. They say it's a bit on the low side
Yeah.
because it normally sits at around like at night around 40, which means you're an athlete or whatever is what they type. But it hits 34. I had to wear a Holter monitor. She wanted me to wear
Yeah,
one.
that's not good. Yeah, low blood
No, so
pressure.
I'm at 34. So I mean, it's basically my heart's just barely beating.
Yeah.
Which is good because it means everything's open, right? And your heart doesn't have to
Yeah.
pound to be able to move blood.
But too
But
low, you're
she's
gonna
no.
pass out.
Well, honestly, what I did was I just started adding a bit more salt because I'd knocked
Yeah.
salt out because of my blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just finding that balance and everything. So now I eat salt now. I even eat a bit of sugar now, but I just
Yeah.
had to get it all hardcore in check, and then
Mm-hmm.
now I can indulge
Immediate stop.
a little bit
Yeah.
along the way. Yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So yeah, we should do a shoot because I want to shoot you again.
Well, you're gonna have to edit out some of the aging. Be kind to me.
Oh shit. How old are you now? You're not that old anyway. You're young.
I turned 36 in a month.
36. That's right. A little bit older than Tegan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have kids your age, for Christ's sakes, Renee.
It's just weird. It's just like all of a sudden I'm like 36, and this started when I was, like formally, anyways. I got run
Yeah.
over when I was 25.
Shit, eh?
And you're just like, how did this? And it's funny because I remember hearing that always when like my parents and grandparents, they're just like, how did this X happen? And I was just like, oh, fuck, like whatever, you're a kid. And then all of a sudden it's just like, bam, like, whoa, when did that? Okay, here we are. Cool.
When I hit 50, I never had a birthday that bothered me till I hit 50.
Oh,
And
really?
it's not that it bothered me, but I hit it and I was kind of like almost in a daze. It was
Hmm.
like surreal. It's like, holy fuck, I made 50? Like I seriously made 50. Because
Yeah.
there's the shit I did when I was younger to my body. Lucky I've made 50. And I remember thinking, holy crap. And it was literally like I was in a daze for probably a
Mm-hmm.
week.
Yeah.
It was 50 was that weird number, now I'm 51 and almost getting closer to 52. But
Yeah.
50 was the crazy number for sure.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has that number. For some people, it's 40. For some people, it's 50.
Hmm.
For me, it was 30. I didn't think I
Yeah.
was going to make it to 30, just the health issues that I had and, accidents and life choices and stuff. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
30, I was just like, yeah, I just like, especially when I was first sick when I was younger,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
before the motorcycle accident. And I was just like, yeah, there's, they gave me basically like a few months. They were just like, yeah, the way things are going, like, we don't really know. We can't really
Yeah.
guarantee, like we're not really sure and all this like iffy stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm 19. I've had a pretty good run. Like for most people, like, there's a lot of kids in the hospital that I saw when I was there that are never getting out. Like, like
Yeah,
19,
you
if that's
bet.
what it is, like, then that's it. Right. So I just kind of stopped looking forward.
Hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, I guess that's that. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we made it that far. And then 25 hits, bam, you get run over. And you're just like, ah, like 30 is never going to happen at this rate. It's never going to happen. So yeah,
Well, I
I
never.
always lived at that point of like, it was hard to plan for any kind of future because
Yeah.
it was never guaranteed, right? Like most people, you always say like, oh, you never know if tomorrow's never going to come. Like I was given that conversation at 19. Well,
Hmm.
18, 19. Yeah, 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And treatment started when I was 20, right? So it's just like,
Yeah.
the worst part was I ended treatment at 24, and then a year later I got run over.
That's when you got run over. Shit, eh?
Yeah, so it's just like, man, like, okay, cool. Yeah, 30 is just like, whatever. We'll just
See,
live our life
I
until
never,
then.
I never ever used to think about the future much either. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden you think, well, I'll never live that long. All of a sudden you hit that number and you're like, oh shit, I guess I should start taking care of myself. It's like, what the hell was I thinking? I never thought I would make, 30 or 40. And I remember those milestones, but not
Hmm.
like the 51. The
Yeah,
51 is because, when I was a kid, I remember friends' parents dying
at
in
50.
50.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's when the mortality, thoughts began. You hit that
Hmm.
50, like, fuck, I might not have, and that again, that's why I flipped my switch on my health. It's like, you know what? I want to be that badass 60, 70-year-old grandpa, and
Yeah.
that healthy and can run around and have abs and be the
Hmm.
cool grandpa. So to me, that's, I want to live long enough to watch the grandkids and my kids have kids, all that kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah, totally.
you have a different outlook
Yeah,
when I hit 50.
exactly.
That's for sure.
Well, thank you for having me on, sir. I appreciate it. Long
Absolutely.
distance hugs.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Renee. I appreciate it very much for you doing this. It means a lot, and I'm just having fun posting them. And
Hmm.
you're absolutely my first photographer person I wanted to have on for sure. Well,
Well, thanks
Frick,
for
you're
having me
like,
on.
we were just, I was thinking about it, we don't see all that much, but if we're ever near each other, we'd always try to get together. And I mean, in Texas, we went and met in Austin. Remember
Yeah, I
you
was
were
gonna
in
say
Texas,
Austin,
and
Toronto, BC, Saskatchewan,
we've been all over the place, and just,
Halifax.
it's like,
Were we in Halifax at the same time together?
oh, I can't remember. We were at that same, I can't remember if we were in Halifax at the same time.
There was like the mod squad thing.
Yeah, the Mod Squad thing.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, we were there for that
yeah.
one. That's right. That's right.
So we do
Yes, and
pretty
we've done a
good.
few shoots together. We've always
Yeah,
had fun with those. The
yeah,
old this one, that's a
yeah,
good
yeah,
one.
yeah.
And the Tabitha shoot. I
I
wouldn't have
was just
worked
thinking, I
with
still
that
have
one.
that straight jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I should use that for something. For those of you who don't know, I will throw the image up of Renee and Tabitha.
I look very different.
You're the boss bitch with Tabitha in a white pleather straight jacket and you in your black
Yeah,
leather
that was fun.
with your big bitch boots and all your dark makeup and pale
Yeah,
skin, and Tabitha with her blonde hair and her dark tan, the Californian girl looking.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a fun shoot for sure. So
yeah.
yeah, I'll post a couple of those and get some links. And you know so if anybody's watching, I got to do my thing. Please hit the subscribe button, do the like, show some love for Renee. We're going to put Renee's links to all her stuff, her alchemistlibrary.com. We're going to put the links to that as well. Go check it out. You won't be disappointed. When I hang up, I'm going to download it. I'm going to grab it. I'm
Well,
stoked. I'm stoked. And that's the thing. We all need to stick together as well, and help
mhm.
each other out. That's important. And everybody, doesn't matter if you're in the same, genre of work, so to speak, or whatever,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
same, it doesn't matter. We all need to stick together and help each other get through this. So
Mhm.
again, I appreciate it very much. The one and only Renee Robyn on WW Lifestyles podcast. Have art and will inspire people. So I very much appreciate it, Renee.
Always. Yeah, it's not a problem. Thanks again. Like I said, just for asking.
Coolness.
It's very cool.
Awesome. Badass.
Got to make that into a t-shirt. I'm telling you, make it a
I
t-shirt.
will.
Badass.
I will. Awesome. We'll talk to you soon. Hey, I'm going to get a picture. Hang on, I gotta get
Okay,
a
sounds good.
just because I gotta do this. I'll send it to Jason in Texas and make him all jealous that he's not
Yeah.
watching. Him and John Mark. There. Perfect. Sweet. I appreciate it. Thanks, Renee. Have fun.
Okay.
Say
Stay
hi to Curtis.
healthy. Say
I
hi
will.
to the
You
woman
too.
for me.
I sure will. Take care and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Okay, ciao.